What's shaking there, ladies and gentlemen of the YTPC? It's your boy Treetop Piper, coming back for another episode, if you will, of the channel. And today, I decided, you know what, I'm going to start with the Carter Hall. I do have the Mad Fiddler and the Hunter Blend, the Nording McClellan Foxhound, uh, and the Golden Slice. I'm like, chomping at the bit to smoke that Golden Slice. Um, but for some reason, I don't know, I just felt like maybe I wanted to start with the Carter Hall. But one thing I wanted to say real quick before I got to that, I brought up, or I showed you guys that I bought this Peterson the other day, the Sherlock Holmes. Well, I didn't know when it was made, so I started doing some inquiring and looked up some hallmarks. Well, come to find out that the hallmarks on this, it has a D, and that was from 1989. So this is like the first. This was before they came out with the later ones. This was like an original the Baskerville, or it may have been. I don't know if it was, if 1989 was the first year. I don't know if this was the first batch of Baskervilles they produced, because they did the original one first, the original Sherlock Holmes. Came out with that, and then there shortly after they came out with this one. And then sometime after they come out with another one and another one until they had seven. Well, I know 1987 was when they came out with the original. And this was the second one they came out with, and it's hallmarked for 89. So this is a brand new Sherlock from that series, from the original series in the original box, unsmoked. And what really strikes me is that when they this is before Peterson was sold. This was the original K&P Petersons, the original company, the original owners. It hadn't been changed hands. It was passed down. It was a family-owned business up until that point. And anyway, they came out with this Sherlock Holmes line, and this is not a cheesy line. You can tell, you can see that briar, and I'm just really pleased because, back then the craftsmanship was assured. It was positive. These were really high quality pipes, and I really want to smoke it, but I don't think I have a good enough lighter to smoke out of this, or to smoke with this pipe. So I just ordered a Corona. I just ordered an old boy lighter off of eBay. It was like $115 for the hairline chrome, just the regular one. I seen that Agape makes a Corona old boy lead. They make a bunch of different leather cases for the for those lighters, and they're like $50, but protects the lighter for when you take it out. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to smoking this because this is just a beautiful, flawless piece of briar. And the fact that I paid like $1.35 for it, I've seen these like from the '90s, Hallmark from the '90s, years later, that go for $400. I could turn around and sell this thing and probably easily double my money, but it's like, God, I really wanted one of these, so it would be stupid. I would sell this one to buy a new one or a newer one. I'd rather have this piece of history, this one owner or one smoker pipe that was like from the original run. Wasn't made in subsequent years. This was like the original run of the Sherlock Holmes, and I'm like really proud to actually own this pipe. And when I looked it up, I really wasn't sure how old it was, if it was from the original run or if it was just a few years old. I don't know when they stopped using these boxes. So when I looked up the hallmark, I couldn't even find the D. Actually, I did find it. It was like 1945. I'm thinking, well, that can't be. And then I looked around and seen how the hallmarks were arranged because they had them in rows, and they were arranged years going vertically, where it was like um, the oldest years were down here in this corner, and the newest years were in this corner, and it went vertical up the lines, each year, or subsequent years would go up. And mine was all the way in the far corner of the D. I finally found it, 1989, and it had the italic D slid to the side. Just really, really pleased. I mean, and that was another thing I was going to bring up is eBay. No, it isn't perfect. It's not a perfect medium, nor is anything made by man. But there could be you can find some really excellent deals. I mean, if you know what to look for, and if you know what you're looking at, you can get some really good deals. You can get some really good deals, and that proves it. That proves it. That was a once in a lifetime deal. Like I really wanted to have one of those, but I couldn't pay $400 for it, and the damn silver be tarnished. That would be stupid. To me, I wasn't gonna pay that. I'd rather have a newer, rusticated or sandblasted one than to have an original run unsmoked for $400. Well, as it turned out, I've got a good deal. Somebody did know what they had, probably. The guy was from California that sold it to me. He didn't know what he had, obviously, because he had it listed on there for $125 plus $10 shipping, and he had it on auction, but the reserve hadn't been met. He had it auctioning, and there'd been like 5 bids up to like $50. And it said, buy it now for $125 plus $10 shipping. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why would people not buy it? It just seems stupid to me, and I just snapped it up. Oh, but anyway, this is ready to rock. And I've just legit been kind of droning on here a little bit about that pipe. It's a really nice pipe, though. I can't wait to smoke it. Once I get that Corona, old boy, this kind of almost has a chewing tobacco kind of sweetness to it. Man, there is some really this must be white burley, because that's really bright. That's like, I don't think that's a Virginia. It doesn't seem like it would be anyway. But it actually really reminds me of chewing tobacco. It just has that real sweet, natural tobacco kind of a smell to it. I mean, there's no other real way to explain that. It just has a really kind of a sweet, figgy, tobacco-y, fresh tobacco smell. Or it almost reminds me of when I was a kid, and my dad smoked. That for some reason that is bringing back memories of being, childhood memories. My dad smoked half and half, which for a little while, I mean, he smoked cigarettes, but when he did smoke a pipe, it would be half and half, and he had a few pipes, and he would smoke them. And that's what that reminds me of. It's good. It's good. Now, let's get down to brass tacks about it. Like I said before, in the other videos, or in the last video, I was assuming that it was just going to be a straight up, just a good smoke. It wasn't going to be anything crazy. It was just going to be a good smoke. slightly cigarette-y, I would say. Does kind of remind me of a cigarette a little bit. I must say, just a skosh. I mean, it is. I mean, it's definitely pipe tobacco because I do get a typical pipe tobacco flavor out of it. But there's also the room note is a little sweeter and a little more aromatic than a cigarette room note would be. Cigarette room note is more. It's just ashtray like. It doesn't have a sweetness to it. Whereas this almost has like a slight sweet perfuminess to it in the air. I'm just trying to think of what this reminds me of. I want to say haunted bookshop. Something like that. Haunted bookshop or one of those Cornell and Deal blends that I've had. I guess the Burley is probably kind of doing that, reminding me of those flavors that you get out of some of those Cornell and Deal Burley blends, Burley Virginia blends. I mean, it is cool, actually, now that I think about it. It does almost make pipe tobacco more convenient, more like cigarette smoking. Um, it's more. It's easier to attain an enjoyable smoke with something like this. You don't have to have any real. I remember my dad saying, when I first started smoking a pipe, and I lived with my dad, and of course he had quit smoking anything years before. But I remember him saying, him kind of reminiscing about back in the '80s and then in the early '90s when I was a young kid. The early '90s when he was reminiscing about those years that he had enjoyed a pipe, as well as smoking cigarettes. But and he said that he always liked the half and half, and I remember he'd always have one of those, a can. He'd have a can of half and half. I think he smoked tobacco at home, or smoked his pipe at home, more or less. The cigarettes was more of an out and about kind of a thing, and he smoked his pipe more or less at home. But he smoked half and half, and that's what when he saw me smoking, he's like, yeah, I always like that half and half. It always just, burly and bright is what he said. The half and half, burly and bright. It just has a good. He said, I just always thought it had a good. It was a good smoke. Of course, I've never had half and half. That'll probably be the next one I get. But I've seen somebody did a review of one of those Walgreens Master Blender Burley and Black pipe tobaccos. And I actually remember I first started smoking those, Walgreens brand. I bought a Dr. Grabeau and kind of has a sour, kind of nutty. The Burley kind of lends that sourness to it. You get almost like a dryness to the flavor. But there's a richness, a roundness to it too. It's got that, the Virginias, they fill it out, because Burley can be kind of flat to me, to my mind. And you need those Virginias to add depth. And it has the Virginias. I could see this being a blend that if I was to go out hiking, you know, I would take some corncob pipes and some Carter Hall. Something like that. Couple pouches of Carter Hall for a weekend. Probably like, well, a pouch probably last a weekend, but maybe if I was gonna go out and do like a week long hike, bring a couple pouches of these, and just chooch. It is an enjoyable smoke. I get it. A lot of people. It's just a lot of people. They just they they scoff at it. I never scoffed at over the counter OTC blends ever. They've been around for a long time. It may not be as sophisticated as some of your English blends out there, like, Penzance and stuff, but it gets the job done. It gets the job done. And those old timers, it's the kind of flavor, when I smoked cigarettes, I couldn't just switch brands. I couldn't just smoke any cigarette. There were some, I could smoke them for the nicotine, but they would never be my brand, because, like, there's a brand called 305s that come from Miami, and they just taste like garbage. Winston's, they taste like garbage. I could never do Winston's. And my dad smoked those in the last year or so that he smoked. I don't know what it is, but there's like an aftertaste about the Winston's. I just not a big fan. And anyway, always like Marlboro, always like Camels. And I couldn't just smoke any of them. Some of them had weird aftertastes and stuff, or certain, they just didn't have flavors in them that I enjoyed. They had nicotine, but they didn't have the flavors that I was looking for. This does. It has that flavor that I would, that I enjoyed out of cigarettes. Just like it says. What's to like about Carter Hall pipe tobacco? Taste. Check. Aroma. Check. Smells good in the bag. Smells good in the air. Like I said, it had a nice perfumey, just a nice smell. A nice smell. Moistness. Check. Freshness. Check. Mildness. Check. No bite. Check. Even burning. Check. It's burning like a... It's not coming down to a fine white ash, but it's burning perfectly even all the way around. I'm not too concerned about the fine white ash, as long as it's, not burning weird and getting dottle everywhere. And then, last but not least, good price. Check. Yes, sir. They hit every one of those. There's nothing on here that they... Everything on here is on point. They're not lying. It's a good blend. I could get by with just this. I could. Willingly, I would. If they took away all other tobacco products and all there was this, I would be... I'm talking chew, dip, cigarettes, everything. And all you could get that was tobacco was Carter Hall. I would still smoke. I would still smoke my pipe. It's good. Like I said, it's not Penzance, it's not Stonehaven, but it is good. You know, it is good. It is satisfying. You know, I like a lot of different flavors, but I definitely like nicotine. You know, and tobacco, and this has got, you know, both. I mean, you know, it's just a natural tobacco-y, and I'm for that. You know, it's got decent bit of nicotine, got a nice natural flavor to it. Burns nice and even, burns clean. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. But anyway, guys, it's enough of my rambling for this, for right this second. Anyway, um, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off there. You know, I just wanted to pop on, and I was pretty excited about how old this Peterson pipe is, and but I wanted to do a first impression too. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. And until next time, your boy Treetop Piper over and out.